Hey everyone, this is Jeb Graham with Metcalf Partners Wealth Management, and this is a Metcalf Money Moment for this week. What I want to talk about this week is inheritance planning. So anybody out there that has an aunt, an uncle, parents, grandparents, or anybody that's going to pass down money to them someday or to anyone else someday, there's a few tips that we have for you in receiving that inheritance. Whether you are the person receiving the inheritance or you're the person passing down the inheritance, the tips are kind of the same. And what I'll tell you first and foremost is a lot of times people have the idea that it's going to happen really quickly. And there is a little bit of a hurry up and wait game. Typically, it takes a little bit longer than what people think to get from the beginning to the end of settling estate. So patience is going to usually be a key factor involved in receiving an inheritance. So a couple of tips. First and foremost, if you're working with, somebody that is still alive that's going to be passing down money someday, a really good tip is to always make sure that every account that you have out there has a TOD or a transfer on death on it. What that means is if you have an IRA, if you have a 401k, if you have an annuity, you're required to name a beneficiary on those accounts, which is great. However, other accounts, regular brokerage accounts, advisory accounts that are not retirement accounts, you are not required to name a beneficiary. So you have to physically make sure that a beneficiary is made on each one of those accounts, or a transfer on death is put on those. So that would be, like I said, brokerage accounts, advisory accounts. You can put a TOD on a car, on your home. Anything that you want to pass to somebody and not go through probate is very, very important to name that TOD. If you don't have a TOD on it, it will go through probate, which typically prolongs the process, and there's a little bit of additional costs involved in that. The other thing, or next, is just to make sure that you talk to an estate planning attorney and decide whether or not a trust is important for the person that's going to be passing down money. So typically when you talk to an estate planning attorney, they'll tell you, yes, you need a trust, or no, you don't need a trust. Just simply naming TOD on all of your assets can accomplish a lot of what a trust accomplishes. However, if you do want to put stipulations on how and when people inherit the money, meaning maybe you have a grandchild that's only 10 years old that's going to inherit money and you don't want them to get it until they're 20 years old, well, then a trust might become necessary, because then you can really put stipulations on how and when people inherit those dollars. Next is if you have IRAs or annuities, it's very important to talk to an estate planning attorney to decide whether a trust, if you have one, should be named or an individual should be named. In our experience in settling estates, a lot of times if you have an IRA or an annuity, it might be easier just to name the individual that you want to ultimately get the funds as opposed to the trust, because the trust can complicate that a little bit from a tax standpoint and some other things. So just talk to an estate planning attorney about that. And then lastly is to work with your financial advisor. So if you're inheriting money, working with a financial advisor, if you're wanting to move these funds to your financial advisor, is crucial, because basically they can help you transfer those funds from another broker dealer or from another financial institution to them, as well as make sure that you get the step up and basis recorded properly. And what that means is if you inherit money that has an embedded gain in it that's a non-retirement asset, meaning non-IRA, non-401k, typically you get a step up in basis, and it saves you a lot of money in capital gains taxes by making sure that's recorded properly. So that's just a few tips for anyone that's planning to inherit money someday. If you can do that in the decedent's lifetime, that can help that process go much more smoothly, or if you're just planning your own estate to pass down to your beneficiaries. So this has been a Metcalf Money Moment. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thanks.